With the pandemic now being fully classified as an endemic, pretty much in full force, are you stressing over excessive patient cancellations or no-shows? Right now, it seems cancellations are rampant in many good doctors' practices. So, you know what, maybe we start the conversation with what's normal. And a good practice, a solid practice running good systems, runs at between a 2 to 3% patient cancellation / no-show rate per day, 2 to 3%. Do you know what your cancellation rate is at right now? If you don't, I highly encourage you to do the math and find out where your practice is at this very week with this statistic. Remember, 2 to 3% is very doable and is achieved when top-notch practice systems are in place in all facets of your practice. So please, after this video, get with your front desk specialist or your office manager if you have one and compute your cancellation rates. It's imperative. You might find it groundbreaking. You may find you're doing great. I hope so. Or the opposite may be the case. But there is a number you need to know, and that is, of course, your cancellation no-show rate. You know what? This is so important. If you want to, take a pause on this video if you want, and go find out what your cancellation rate is now. It may give you more meaning with the rest of this video. Ready, go. Okay, you're back, and you know your cancellation rate. If it's above 3%, that's our ceiling, your practice is hemorrhaging patient visits. And that means your patients are not getting the care that you prescribed or recommended, so they will not get the results you or they expect, correct? Plus, your clinic is losing out on probably a great deal of revenue. Patients' results, of course, always come first and must come first. That should always happen, but did you ever figure out how much revenue your practice is losing if you're above a 3% cancellation rate? We're going to do that. So remember, patient results come first and everything else is secondary. Not unimportant, but secondary. So okay, back to lost revenue or lost collections. Here's how you figure out what's being hemorrhaged. Simply multiply your average visit income per visit times the number of cancellations or no-shows that you get per day above 3% of your total schedule. We'll walk through this. So for example, if your schedule has 50 patient visits on it for today, and you end up the day with 42 visits showed, well, you have a cancellation rate of 16%. And that's crazy, crazy high, because a normal 3% cancellation rate would mean that only 2 patients would not have come in your office that day. So in this example, 8 patients didn't show up that day. A normal 3% cancellation rate would have had you seeing 48 patient visits instead of just 42. Make sense? So now let's apply a little bit of math. You lost 8 patient visits. You should have only lost 2 maximum. That means you exceeded the normal upper limit by 6 visits. So multiply 6 times your average visit collection. Let's say, for example, your average visit income is $75. So 75 times 6 is $450. And that's the amount of revenue that your clinic lost due to an excessively high cancellation rate. And these extra cancellations are usually due to incomplete office systems, not one, but several. Right now, however, the pandemic is artificially increasing the cancellation rate. So now more than ever, it's massively important for you to address this so that you have really good office systems in place to reverse or stop that high cancellation rate. Again, anything over 3% high. Make sense? Okay, so if you're stressing over patient cancellations and no-shows, you are not alone, not by a long shot. So in the rest of this video, I'll discuss some basic systems that you should be running in your office to reduce cancellations, especially right now. So if you're already doing them, great. If not, you're going to love this information. And I'm Dr. Chris Tomshack, CEO of HealthSource, America's chiropractor, and you are watching the Chiropractor Solution channel, which is the video series that we put together that helps you grow your chiropractic practice and your career both personally and, of course, professionally. So hello and welcome. And before we dive into the rest of the content, make sure that you're subscribed to this channel so you can continue receiving these videos. And please give us a thumbs up to make it easier for other chiropractors to find this content. That's how it works today. So if we back up just a moment, remember how we determined that your practice may have lost about $450 of revenue if you model the previous example or something similar to it? If that happens just 4 times a week for 52 weeks a year, what is the damage to your practice? sit down, because it would mean that you lost out on $93,000 in a year. 93.6 actually. That's a lot of cash by most chiropractor standards, and it's even worse right now during the pandemic. So, but back to you. What is your cancellation rate? Do you know your average visit income? Of course you do. So please do the math and compare it against a 3% cancellation rate being the ceiling. But again, the most important thing here is not the cash. It's the fact that your patients are falling off their schedule and they're not going to get the care that they need. So they in turn won't get the results that they came for. That means they may discontinue your care before they should. Ever happen? And those are the ones that likely tell others they didn't get the results that they expected to receive at your office. And that isn't good for anybody. So have you ever experienced this situation in your practice? I'll bet you have. And as always, let me know in the comments below, and I look forward to hearing from you because I welcome your feedback and your opinions, of course. So let's get back to the example of a 16% cancellation or no-show rate. So as I said earlier, this really high no-show rate is the product of numerous things not functioning correctly in your practice. It's not just one thing. I mean, actually, it can be a combination of many, many things. So where do you start? Let's try this. First and foremost, when you have a high no-show or cancellation rate, your patients have not placed a priority on receiving care in your office. For some reason, or for maybe it's a bunch of reasons, they simply don't have as high a priority on their care as you do. And there's a myriad of reasons why this would be true, and we can spend days on this topic. But most likely, we're going to dissect these reasons in future video segments, so you'll want to stay tuned and perhaps even share a link with your chiropractic friends. Since there are so many reasons why patients skip appointments, let's attack a straightforward method to shrink the challenge after they cancel an appointment. I know prevention is a much better route to take, just like wellness adjustments benefit people incredibly so. But let's hit the easiest step first. So that's when a patient calls to cancel. I encourage you to have a policy in place, which is to make up missed appointments within 7 days. If you put a patient on a care plan, there was a good reason. You used your best chiropractic decision-making tree to determine what it would take for that patient to get where they want to be. And you and your patient set those out at the beginning of care. If they start skipping appointments, well, what happens to the results? Well, that's right, of course. They simply will not get the outcome that you both expect, and that serves nobody, unfortunately. Not your patients and certainly not your practice. Everybody loses in that paradigm. So, back to action. When a patient calls to cancel an appointment, that appointment should get made up within 7 days. I know I'm preaching to the choir here, so you are well aware that the healing process is a result of successive care, and each visit builds upon the success of the previous visits, getting better and better and better. Skipping visits will slow down your patient's progress and increase the likelihood that they will eventually stop care altogether prematurely. We all know that the patients that skip appointments stop care. And as I said before, these are the patients that tell others they didn't get great results. So remember, many people share negative outcomes way more so than they share positive outcomes. So let's talk about rescheduling a missed appointment. You reschedule it so that it is made up in the next 7 days. And that helps keep your patients on track for the expected outcomes that you expect and that, of course, most importantly, they expect. But what do you do when a patient just skips a scheduled appointment? Simple. They are called, of course, and the missed visit is rescheduled within 7 days. And what if your front desk specialist was unable to reach them and they just sort of show up tomorrow at their next visit as if nothing happened? Well, has this ever happened to you? Let's hear the stories. Tell me about some of the really unique instances or stories that you've experienced. Maybe tell us about some of the most creative excuses in the comments section below. Now, well, if the patient just shows up tomorrow and never mentions they skipped an appointment, like today's appointment, your front desk specialist should be well trained to speak from a rehearsed, very short script and schedule the patient to make up for the missed appointment within 7 days. It really is not difficult at all. But the key to getting this done is training. Training for you and for your team. You should all be working together and know the communication process points so that everything, all missed appointments are made up within 7 days. This training moment, which really should be done every single week with your team, practiced, rehearsed, it will reap dividends to your patients in terms of them reaching their expected outcome in a timely fashion, and it will also pay dividends to your practice because you lose a lot less revenue. Now, remember, patient results always come first. When you help enough patients get the results they desire, your practice will absolutely flourish and referrals will come in. So if you found this video interesting, and I hope you did, and perhaps helpful, grab our free report for chiropractors at hsfranchising.com. It'll show you how to recover from the pandemic quickly. It's the game plan we followed to make 2021 our very best year of per clinic growth we have ever experienced. We blew away our projections. You can too. So again, head over to hsfranchising.com and check out our videos. You'll love them. As always, I welcome your feedback and opinions on this topic in the comments below, and I look forward to hearing from you. Have a great day.